Just a few moments ago, I went to do a private transfer of a firearm and I got delayed. Now that might sound funny to some people that don't need to do FFL transfers for private sales, but here in the state of Washington, we have to use an FFL for every private transfer. Since Bloomberg came in here and spent all of his money and got it passed to where we have to do universal background checks on every gun sale, even private gun sales, now if I want to sell a gun to someone or they want to sell a gun to me privately, we have to go to an FFL and do a background check. We're also a state where even if you have a concealed carry permit, you have to go through the background check. So everyone that transfers a gun in any fashion now has to go through a background check in the state of Washington. So today I went to do a private sale and I got delayed. Now this is just another reason why I hate universal background checks, but it's not the main reason why I hate them. When you say you don't like universal background checks or you don't support them, people are like, oh, you're just a selfish monster. You just want to make it easy for yourself and you don't like it just because it inconveniences you a little tiny bit, even though it'll save all those lives. Well, that isn't why I'm against universal background checks at all. I don't mind being minorly inconvenienced. I don't mind having to go back tomorrow. If it was actually saving lives, that wouldn't bother me at all. I don't mind having to spend $20 extra every time I buy a gun. I actually don't mind that at all either because it's a revenue source for FFLs and gun shops. So that doesn't bother me at all. I actually kind of enjoy the fact that they're getting a new revenue source. Now, that's the only good thing about this law. The reason I oppose universal background checks isn't because I'm selfish or because I'm inconsiderate. It's because they do nothing. They do not stop a single crime. I mean, look at the people that commit gun crimes. They're either one of two categories for the vast majority of those crimes. They're either people that are career criminals, gang members, etc., that can't legally own a gun anyway and get them through illegal means, which is still easy to do because let's face it, these universal background check laws are unenforceable laws. So bad guys still get guns, or they're good law-abiding citizens that have never ever committed a crime in their life until they commit a crime, usually out of passion. Neither of those two huge categories of people that commit gun crimes are stopped by universal background checks because criminals don't do background checks. They don't buy guns through the legal means, and good people that have never committed a crime before are legal to purchase it when they purchase the gun. They're legal until the time they actually commit the crime with it. In fact, when the law was trying to be passed here in Washington, the supporters of the law even admitted that no, we can't name a single crime that this ever would have stopped. We can't name a single life that this law ever would have saved, but they used the slogan of, well, it's better to do something than nothing. And as I have said many times in the past, that is one of the most ridiculous and illogical things you can say. It is often better to do nothing than it is to do the wrong thing. So it is not always better to do something than nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is by far the better thing to do. Since when did being rash and making snap judgments with no supportive evidence become a good thing? But somehow that's how they sold the law. And since this law admittedly does nothing to stop crime, all it does is surrender power held by the people to the government. And anytime you surrender power to the government and get nothing in return, that's a really bad thing. And I'm not someone who's anti-government and doesn't think the government should ever have any power. I believe in a good, strong central government for the people. But when they don't need the power, and it's not a power they should have or they can even do anything with, you shouldn't give it to them. Because these types of things are incremental. I mean, I know I don't believe in slippery slope arguments. I'm not going to make a slippery slope argument. But anytime you surrender one right, that leaves you more vulnerable to surrender other rights. When you surrender a right like this to the government, that isn't taking a step down a staircase going downwards. That's like stepping onto a down escalator, because then you're having to continually fight to get back where you were. If you don't fight, you don't stay stationary, you actually go further down. So you put yourself in a situation where you're constantly trying to fight just to keep what you have and get back to where you were. So you have to ask yourself, if even the supporters of these laws say they won't do anything, they won't stop crime, why do they support them so strongly? Why do they insist that they be put in place? If you ask me, it's because they're being duped by a government that wants to do other things. They want to keep a backdoor registration. They are prohibited from keeping a registration of gun owners. But this law in itself is like a de facto registration, and they know it. And that's just their first step towards a larger, grander scheme of reducing gun sales in this country and restricting gun ownership in this country. Once they have that little part in place, there's other little steps they can take that would severely limit your right to purchase and own firearms in this country. And that's their goal. So when people come to me and say, why don't you support universal background checks? Why are you some kind of selfish monster? You don't care about other people's lives? Well, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it. When you look at the facts that these laws don't save any lives and all they do is surrender freedom, the real question isn't, why don't I support universal background checks? The real question is, why do you support them?